Hello, Pick a Side Nation. This is your host, James Finley, for the Pick a Side podcast. Well, we are in the lab once again. This time we're in the lab for Labor Day, and I have a special treat for you guys. My special guest is the one and only Chelsea Robinson from the Generation Z. We have our millennials, and then after our millennials, we have our Generation Z. So she was able to come into the lab to discuss so many different issues going on now. Talked about her disappointment not being able to graduate with her class for 2020, COVID-19. We talked about the racial divide, the police brutality, the protests. Boy, we talked about a lot. So hope you enjoy this particular podcast. Always remember to hit the like, share, and subscribe button for me. Enjoy. Ladies and gentlemen, how's everyone doing? Welcome to the lab. This is James Finley with the Pick a Side podcast. Pick a Side Nation, we had to do a little something different today. This was not planned, but thankfully, I think it's going to work out. So, in the lab today, we're bringing Generation Z into the lab. We're bringing someone in here who is very, very young, but very talented, very intelligent, very smart. And there's a little secret that I'll let you guys know towards the end of this podcast. So if for some reason, if you guys don't stick around and listen for the duration of this podcast, then that's your fault. And you're not going to get told what the secret is with this podcast right here. But however, I am bringing to the lab Miss Chelsea Robinson. Miss Chelsea, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing just good. We are so glad to have the opportunity to bring Generation Z into the podcast so we could get a little bit of dialogue going in here. And so I'm just going to kind of let everybody kind of know this is Chelsea. She's from Los Angeles, California. And Chelsea is a recent graduate from Texas Christian University in Fort Worth, Texas. Congratulations to you, Chelsea. How does it feel being a graduate from college?
It's scary to say the least because adult life has started. So, but yeah, it was a very anticlimactic way of graduating, I would say.
So I'm glad that you mentioned that. There is and for the Pick a Side Nation. So I got a couple of complaints about a couple of interviews I had. I already know that I have a little situation where I say "huh" a lot. I am not a professional, so I'm letting all of you all know today. You may hear "huh" 10 or 12 times. I'm working on it. Bear with me. Be patient. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Now that I got that out the way. So you are part of the graduating class of 2020. And my heart goes out to all of you because the very one thing that when you start going to college and you start accumulating units and you see the end game, your thoughts immediately start going, I cannot wait to have my black robe, cap and gown. And what was that like when you found out that that was not going to happen?
So the way that my university did it, so we found out during spring break. So when COVID took place and everything started shutting down, we were on spring break. And so during that time, we got an email that said we're extending spring break for 2 more weeks and then we'll go back on campus. So we really didn't it was still up in the air that graduation was still going to happen. And then they pushed graduation back till August. So they were like, we're still going to have graduation. It's going to be held in the basketball field. We'll tell you guys all the restrictions and everything, but we're still going to have graduation at the end of the day. but then you had schools who were canceling their graduation, and so you think like, okay, like, but we still had hope. A lot of us still had hope that we're still walking the stage. Even on Twitter, they're like, I'm so glad TC didn't cancel the graduation, like, because it's such a big moment for a lot of people, especially first generation students. And like that moment really isn't for you, it's for your family. And I think that
Right.
was like the biggest moment that sort of hit me, is that I really didn't do this for me. Like, yeah, I did it for me, but my biggest thing was seeing my family up in the stands and cheering me on, and that was really it. And I think that's what hurt the most about finding out that graduation was canceled, is that your parents
Right.
don't get to see you walking down the stage. And then even my grandma, like, she's 80 now, and she would have had the opportunity to see me walk down the stage. So I think that was the biggest like letdown of it all. And you just like
Yeah.
dream about walking across the stage, and I think that was like the hardest like part of it.
Yeah.
um, you also just have to take into account that at the end of the day, like, you graduated, you did it. You know, all the tears were worth it, all the late night settings, they were worth it because you still got the piece of paper at the end of the day. So I think it's a bittersweet moment that we didn't have that celebratory, you know, graduation parties,
Right.
sending out
Right.
announcements so I can get graduate like graduation money. Like,
Right. Yeah.
I think
Right.
that was
Right. Right.
this part of it. But um, I mean, I felt more bad for high school students than I did college students. I think if
Yeah.
I was in
Yeah.
high school, if I was in high school and this would have happened, I would have been even more heartbroken because prom was canceled, and
Yeah.
everything, that grad night was like one of the best nights of all of high school. So I think, you know, I feel more for high school students than I do for college students. So,
Yeah.
but it does suck at the end of the
And
day.
so when all this was going on, and like I said, I honestly, it hurt my heart that so many 2020 graduates did not get a chance to walk across. And as you just mentioned, we had a great deal of high school seniors all across the country who did not get. You only get one time to do that.
One
There's no repeat, especially for high school. For
Mhm.
high school, you only get one prom, you only get one grad night, you only get one graduation, and for the remainder of your life, when you look back on it, you don't have that special moment where
Exactly.
the principal is giving you your diploma.
Mhm.
And if we take it to college, you don't have that one moment where you're going up there and you're getting the diploma from the president of the university. You don't have that one special moment. I know a lot of families try to have the little make on graduations at home, and for me,
It just
it's just not the same. I
yeah.
know they mean well and this and that, but it's just something about being able to hear your name in an auditorium or over a stadium speaker, and be able to have your family to act a
Mhm.
fool when your
Right.
name is called.
Yeah.
And so, that's a hurdle that unfortunately that you had to go through.
Right.
However, the flip side of it is that you did graduate. And
Correct. And that's
so
the
how
paper, and that's all that
yeah,
matters.
so how does it feel to, you put in the time, you put in the hours, and going from okay, let's go back a little bit. So
Mhm.
what was the deciding factor for you to say, you know what, I'm gonna leave Los Angeles and I'm going down to Fort Worth, Texas. So what was that moment like for you to make that type of decision to leave home from the nest?
So I think I don't even know. I think I just wanted to get out of LA and like get
Mhm.
out of the bubble, because once you leave like your hometown bubble and like go to somewhere else, especially a state like Texas, like you just see such a different culture. So I've always been wanting to just like go for it and just like try new things. And I didn't visit Texas at all before I even like enrolled. I never been to the state. I never visited the school. I did
Wow.
virtual tour, but like everything that they were telling me, I'm like, oh, okay, like I could see myself there. And they gave me scholarship money too. So yeah, I just wanted to get outside my bubble and like just experience something new. And I'm I'm glad I did it, but if I could go back, I probably wouldn't have chosen TCU. Uh,
Mhm.
because of everything that happened like on the campus, it's just it was an interesting time, interesting 4 years.
Well, well, you know what? Listen, I applaud anyone that has gone, that left their home state to go out of school, especially when you have never been away from home, and for you to have left, gone all the way halfway in the middle of the United States, in the southwest part of the United States, to Texas to go to school, and being that you have a close knit family, that had to be extremely difficult, especially. I know when I lived in Atlanta, and I would turn on the news sometimes, and I would see stuff that would be going on out here in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
When I see a basketball game and they show that shot of the palm trees and all that, and I just be like, oh my God, I want to be home so bad.
Yeah, I
So
think it's also easier though because you have technology, so you're able to FaceTime and like keep in
yeah,
touch that
yeah.
way. So I think it's easier that way. But no, I'm glad I got out of California and just like saw something different for sure.
Cool. All right. So now that we've gotten that out the way, so
Mhm.
let's get to the nitty gritty. So you're Generation Z, and
Yeah.
Generation Z. So I thought the millennials were way off the chain. However, Generation Z,
Mm.
I don't think that you guys are as off the chain as the millennials are. However, I think that what you guys are, as we call it now, I think your generation is super woke on
Yeah.
on different things that's going on in today's climate. So let's go back. So you've had to deal with the COVID with school. Guys had to shut down. If I'm not mistaken, your dad had to drive to come pick you up, take or bring you back one of those things.
We were so like I said before, COVID happened when it was spring break. So I was home. But I only had a week worth of clothes lasting 3 weeks. My car was still in Texas and all my stuff was just still in Texas. And
Mhm.
so we got an email from housing saying like we're getting ready to close down. So you might want to come and get your stuff. And then a couple of days before we decided to go, my friend's car got broken into the apartment complex that I stay at. So we were like, okay, like we gotta go. And so we flew down to Texas. Tickets were super cheap. They were like $28 to
Oh
go
wow.
from LA to Texas. And then we packed all my stuff up and we hit the road with my car. And right when we left, they had changed all the codes to housing, so you couldn't go back. They were like, we don't want anyone else coming back to get their stuff. So we literally left right in time.
Wow. Well, that's good. That's good.
Mhm.
So Chelsea, you were in Texas, and
Mhm.
Texas and California is totally two different places. I
Correct.
mean,
Night and
like
day.
there's no gray. It's black
Uh-uh.
and white. I
Correct.
don't mean that racially, but it's just black and white. Things are different in Texas than there are in California.
Hmm.
So you get back home, and different news is coming on and this and that. So take me to when you first found out about George Floyd's death, and just take me back to when you found out about it.
When I found out about it, I think I woke up and found out about it. Was on Twitter and I was scrolling past it, and then I had seen something, but I didn't really look at it. And then a couple like hours went by, and I saw like George Floyd was trending on Twitter, and so I actually like looked at the video. I think I was home. I looked at the video, and I was just like, "Yo, like what?" So I
Mhm.
think I was just at home and just saw it. I think I went down and told my dad, like, "Did you see what happened?" and everything like that.
So when so was this like the first time that you had seen like literally somebody's life being like literally just taken away from them in the manner of it did?
Hmm.
So what went through you when you actually saw it and you knew that Mr. Floyd was literally, that his life was just literally being taken away from him?
You just like, it just hurt, like, especially when he called out to his mom, and then
Right.
you could see he's just like suffering when he's dying.
Hmm.
The cop just has no remorse about it. I think
Right.
that's just like, it was just a WTF moment. Like,
Right. Right.
are you serious right now? And then
Right.
also you have bystanders there. I think that's a part of the problem with this generation, is that we're really bystanders and we'll rather take out a phone than help somebody. Um,
Right. Right.
but it's also like, at the end of the day, they're cops, so you can't really like intervene in that because you'll get hurt. So it was just a whole bunch of mixed emotions going through that scenario.
So after the death, you see the death and you're seeing what's going on. So the protesting starts,
Hmm.
and we just had weeks and weeks of protesting.
Right.
Um, were you ever involved in any of the protests at all?
I went to a protest.
Okay.
Um, Before, I was really against protesting, and that was because, so one, COVID, like, we're in a whole pandemic, right? And you got all these people outside, just bodily fluids everywhere. Like, that was one of the main things. I'm like, I'm not going out to protest, and all these people are around me with this pandemic going on. And
Yeah.
then, also in the media, you have these protests, they're getting violent now. So, like, bullets are being, taken out, and then it looked dangerous or whatever. And so I'm like texting my friends and I'm like, yeah, I'm not protesting. I'll tweet, I'll retweet, I'll sign petitions, but I'm not going out there to go protest. Um, and so the turning point really was like, as the protests kept on happening, you saw like changes that were being made. Like, you saw the cops got arrested. So I'm like, okay, like, these protests are happening.
Right.
And then,
Right.
on top of that, I had people who I went to high school with, they're out in protest, and they're not black. They're people, they're Hispanics, they're Asian, they're all different types of race, and they're out protesting. And so I'm thinking to myself, like, why am I sitting at home behind my my phone screen, like, just tweeting and retweeting? Like, there's a problem with this picture. And so, like, it was really like sitting heavy on my mind. And then we were eating dinner one day. I told my parents, I'm like, I think I'm gonna go protest. And like, my mom was like, no, you're not. Like, you lost your mind. Like, it's
Mhm.
dangerous out there. It's the pandemic, blah, blah, blah. But I'm like, no, like, I think I need to go out and protest. And one of the main things was that I was thinking of when I get older, like, right now we're history right now. Like, we're living in history being made right now.
Right. Right.
I'm thinking, in the future, like, my nephew or my future kids, they're going to be learning about this moment right then and there. And
Yeah.
I don't want to give them a perspective of what I saw in the media.
Hmm.
I want to give them that perspective. And then they ask me, like, were you out there? I'm like, no, like, I was scared. Like, I
Right.
don't
Right. Right.
to, I didn't want to say that to them. And so I went out. And one post that really got me was my friend back from elementary school. And she had posted on Insta, like, I went to a protest. I was scared. I was scared, but it was so much different than the media and what the media is putting out there. And so her post really was like, I texted my friends again. I'm like, I think we need to go protest. And they're like, yeah, like, we got to get out there. And so on Twitter, there's this Excel page that had every single protest that was happening within the US.
Hmm.
Um, it laid out the date that it was happening, the location, the time where people meet up. All of that was laid out. And so it was very easy to find a protest. And so me and my best friend, we went down there. We didn't make any signs or anything, but we just went out there to like just see like what was going on. And like, it was one of the most beautiful like experiences ever, because you just saw like people are actually out there and they actually care about you.
Right. Right.
And they're not just like saying it just to say it. Like,
Yeah.
they mean it. And so it was really beautiful just seeing like all the cultures. Like we missed the marching part, but at the end, like it was George Floyd's memorial service going on, and so they had a separate thing going in LA.
Yeah.
And so you had preachers were preaching, they were saying prayers. You had the Hispanic church, they were singing.
Yeah.
Indigenous church, they were singing. Ethiopian church, they were singing. You just saw all the cultures around you. And then at one point during the end of it, they had everyone get on one knee and stay silent for as long as George Floyd was being executed.
Yeah. 8 minutes and 46
Mhm.
seconds. Yeah.
And
You know,
that-
it was, you know, I applaud you, you know, you guys for protesting, because this probably was the first time in your life that you had to go through anything like this. Unfortunately for me, there's been several different occasions where we've witnessed police brutality, the worst being in 1992 for me with the Rodney King just beat down. And I remember how I felt then. However, there was not a lot of protesting. There was more rioting and looting. And as you said, you know, you didn't want to have to be a part of that. But one of the things that I was so impressed with the protests was that there were so many young people, and not just African Americans, but as you said, I saw white people, I saw Asians, I saw just every ethnic background.
yeah.
And so that was extremely impressive. But I also saw your generation speaking up on it. And, you know, I love the fact that your generation is kind of like, we are not, you know, just because our parents, you know, are from a different era, we're from a different era, and we're not going to tolerate this, you know, madness. So your friends, uh, so what do you say? You have friends, your non-African American friends. So how did they feel about the protests and things of that nature?
Yeah. They were just like going at it. Like they, from the moment it happened, I saw my timeline like started to like explode with like my friends who are Hispanic, they're Latinos. I got a few like white friends back from high school, but they were just like going at it. They had like all the petitions, like here, sign this. This isn't right. This is racism. No, you have white privilege, like, and here's why. So like they were really, like calling people out and like on it. Um, and then on top of that, though, they were also concerned about me. So I
Right.
have friends who, you know, are different race than I am, and they were FaceTiming me like, tell us like, how are you? Like, how are you feeling? Like, you know, like just really like trying to like be there for me, and like they understand that it's a problem. Um, and so like it was really just it felt good that, you know, like people around you and you have a circle around you that like really like appreciates you and they know your life matters.
Mhm.
Uh, on the other hand, you can't really applaud a fish for swimming, and that's what I was telling myself also. I'm like, okay, like thank you guys for doing all this, but I'm not about to sit up here and like applaud you for, you know, saying that my life matters, but I appreciate you. And that's what I was saying like to them when Pride Month came up. I was wishing like my one of my close friends like happy Pride Month and I was just like, you know, and thanks for like everything that you're doing out there. Like I see you and I hear you and I appreciate you, but I'm also not going to applaud you for swimming, but thank you.
Yeah.
uh, and then on the other hand, you had friends who were asking you, like, asking the timeline really. Like, I see, so, like, for instance, Blackout Tuesday on Instagram, where you have the black screen,
Hmm.
and he was asking, you know, I want to use my voice, but I'm also seeing sides where it's like, don't do it or don't use this. So, like, what is okay? And I think that's where you, as a black person, have to step in and say, you know, like, yes, do it, but don't use Black Lives Matter because that's pushing everything that all the information down to the bottom with all these black streams, but instead use hashtag Blackout Tuesday. So It's being like their resource to come and make sure that they're activism. They're being activists in the right way.
Yeah.
Um, but it also can get exhausting of you having to be that Black friend to have to like tell them like, yeah, it's okay, but like at the end of the day, all you can really do is appreciate, and they went about it in the right way. Whereas I
Right.
have one friend back in high school, and she was just being really ignorant on it about the timeline, and like my friends, they called her out back in high school. They were like, yo, like, what's up? And so she had messaged me on Snapchat privately and was like, Chelsea, like, I'm sorry. Can you educate me on Black Lives Matter?
Mm.
I said, you're ignorant, and you're ignorant for even asking me to educate you about my Black experience or what is going on in this world. And I told her straight up, I'm like, your peers have been doing an excellent job of what it means to be an ally. You're an adult. I'm not going to sit up here and tell you about my experiences and tell you like what's going on in this world. It's right in your face. So you need to take the time and learn it that way. So
Okay. So stop there for a second. So now here's where I kind of differ with you on that just for a little bit, because I have my white friends when this was going down and when they reached out to me and they like, hey James, you know, everybody was very apologetic. And I told them, I said, hey, listen, there's nothing for you to apologize for because you did not do it. However, you know, I was asked, you know, listen, what is it that I can do, James? You know, what you know, they felt, some of them felt guilty, like, you know, this is our fault, you know, James, why are we doing it? And so I would let them know, I need you guys to listen. I know for once, I really need you guys to tune in and just listen to what's really going on. And I think Chelsea, that, you know, if you have someone that's kind of like reaching out to you and they kind of want to, we have we have a duty as African American people. When stuff like this come out, we have an opportunity to educate people, even though sometimes we may feel like they should know. But anytime I have an opportunity to let somebody know that, hey, listen, okay, let's sit down and talk about it, I'll do it. So what you think about that?
I have a different perspective.
Okay. Okay.
So I think for one, I understand that people don't know. So my last semester of college, I was in a CREST course, and it's a cultural, race, and ethics studies class.
Right.
And it's a Hispanic guy, he teaches it, love him to death. And the whole layout of the class is to learn what systemic racism is, learn that you have white privilege, talks about white fragility, talks about, you know, people of color, mixed race, the meaning behind the word Caucasian. Like, he really breaks it down. And he lets you know, like, it's not my job to educate people on Black experiences. I think it's a difference whether, like you said, your friends came up to you and they asked you, like, how do I go about it in that way? I think that question is different than, Chelsea, can you educate me on Black experiences? I think that's completely different, because it's like you're asking me to educate you on racism that I've experienced, right? When it's like blatantly in your face, and in that kind of sense. So I don't have a problem with, you know, explaining a situation, but when it comes down to you wanting me to educate you on just like what I've experienced and having to relive that, I'm not about to do that. Like, I'm not going to do that. That's reliving trauma. Like, it's not my job to do that. You could go on YouTube and you could figure that out yourself, or go on the timeline and see all the countless videos. I'm not going to educate you on racism that I've experienced, you know?
Okay.
I don't see what's so difficult about that.
All righty. Okay. we okay, so we can agree to disagree on that. But hey, listen, I listen. I totally respect your stance on that. And if you feel like that's not your place to be trying to educate nobody about how we, hey, I'll just respect. Okay, so let's move on a little bit. So let's fast forward a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So now we have, in between George Floyd death, we had a few other things that had happened. So now we have this recent incident with Jacob Blake,
Mm-hmm.
which is on video. So tell me, how did you feel when you saw that?
I was speechless. I went downstairs and I was just like, I was heated. I was telling my dad, like, yo, did you see this? And like, I was just, like it's at a point though where you're just like tired of seeing this. Like, and
Right.
even with what, Jacob Blake's sister was saying, she was just like, I'm just tired. Like, I'm numb to it. And that's how you begin to feel like you're just numb to it, where it's like the first line of defense is pulling out your gun and shooting someone 7 times. Like, why didn't the second bullet happen? Why didn't you stop at the third bullet? Like, why? It's just like, why? And it's
Right.
just
It's almost kind of like, what else? What else are you guys going to do? And believe me, I've seen several videos of white people. Similar situation, worse than that. I've seen 3 videos of white people spitting in cops' face, and they don't do anything.
anything. So that argument is kind of overplayed. Of he shouldn't have been like resisting, or he should have complied with the cops. That argument is so overplayed. Like,
so that's the first thing that is always said, is that, well, hey, he didn't comply and this and that. And listen, I understand.
yeah,
I have a 30-year-old son, and I'm always telling my son, hey, listen, whatever you do, you get pulled over. Hey, go through the procedures, Jake. Hey, put your hands on the steering wheel. Hey, answer them properly. Just survive. All I want you to do, like I had on the last show, just make it home. Even if you get arrested, let's deal with that. But at least you're alive. Hey, I can come down to the police station. We'll deal with everything else, but just stay alive. However, there's no sense for a police officer to be unloading with somebody's back turned and up close. You got your hands on their shirt already, and you pull your gun out and shoot somebody in the back that many times. How it's only, like I said, it's only the grace of God that the guy is still alive. So
because did you
now,
hear that he was in the hospital handcuffed? You didn't have any charge. Like,
oh, that was and then the sad part about it is, then when we have situations like this, that person is always going to have their character, slammed through the mud. They're going to find something, that the person did, or this and that. So it always seems to go from bad to worse after aftermath. So, our time is kind of running out. So what I want to tell you, this will be your first, if I'm not mistaken, since you're just a graduate from college, will this be the first time that you would have been able to vote for a presidential election? This will be your second time doing it? Okay, so your second time vote for a presidential election. So how do you feel about what's going on at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue? What is your feelings about it?
I'm ready to leave the country. The man is just disgusting. He's a racist, disgusting, transphobic, homophobic, xenophobic, just a terrible human being, a wannabe dictator. There's just no words to express the hatred that I have for him. And it's a scary moment because you don't necessarily know that he will get out of office, because the same thing happened back in 2016. Hillary, Hillary won the popular votes but lost the electoral college. The same thing can happen with this election. I think that's what the scary part is that you know that Biden is going to win the popular votes.
Yep.
It's part of this electoral college
Yep.
where you just don't know. And I think that's so scary. And I think if he gets in to another term, I think we are screwed, completely screwed.
And you know, Chelsea, and I feel the same way. I feel like, you know, and in the beginning when Kamala Harris, when she was named to the ticket, you know, oh my God, I was just elated. And as time is going on now, it's like I'm seeing somewhat of a little change that's happening right now. Not with Joe Biden or Harris or Kamala Harris, but I'm seeing the changes with people because of the protesting and this and that. More people are starting to lean towards 45 again because they feel like they'll be more safe. And it's like they just believe anything that he says. I mean, like everything that comes out of his mouth. And I'm just like, common sense says, why are you believing? I mean, it's like common sense does not even exist anymore
It doesn't
right now. And it's like, how can something that's so plain? I don't, like I said, I have zero problems with anyone being a Republican. I have no problem with that. But man, do I have a problem with you being a supporter of this guy.
Mm-hmm.
So
and then it doesn't make any sense because they say this is going to be Biden's America. At the end of the day, this is Trump's America right now. So
right. Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Not only is it Trump's America, but you have people throughout the world that kind of likes Trump and how they like that dictator style. I was watching the news over in Germany. They were protesting the other day, and the number of people that had MAGA shirts and hats on over in Germany, and they were talking about how, you know, they liked him. Now they were in the minority of that, but still the fact of the matter is that his message is crossing overseas. It's crazy. So since 2016 and prior to the election, then I still have yet to see one person with a MAGA hat on or a MAGA shirt. With you being in Texas, did you see that quite a bit? I've never seen it. I'm in LA. I've never have seen that.
I've seen it way too many times. First, so 2016, we're in the dorms. At this time, I was hanging out with majority white people. I found out they were Trump supporters, and I said, "Oh, we gotta." So I'm done with you guys. It was nice talking to you guys. It was nice, you know. Trump ended up winning. I walked out. Wow. And in the community, or in this dorm hall, there was a group of Trump supporters, had on MAGA hats, celebrating. Like, and then you go down to the bar, you got MAGA hats, like, everywhere. I will be in class, and this one dude, he would have on a MAGA shirt. He walked in, and the one white dude was like, "Yes, like, I like your shirt." And we're just, the 3 black people, we're looking at each other like, are they serious right now? I saw it way too many times to count. I'm glad I'm out that state, to say the least, because I think if it wasn't, when I went to Texas, I really realized that there's a racial problem, right? Yeah. I think back in LA, it's a whole melting pot here. So you never really feel like it's black and white, or you never really have racial experiences. But when you go to somewhere like Texas, it's very black and white, and it's very, I remember one time I was at a party, I was with my black friend, and we went to the restroom, and we opened the wrong door to the dude's bedroom instead, and the whole room was covered in conservative flags and Donald Trump flags. There was a rifle in the corner, and we were like, yo, we gotta go. Like, it's so different there, and it's just so like you could see why Black people are so angry over there because it's just not progressive at all. And I think that's why I appreciated getting out of LA so bad, is because like it helped me realize like you're a Black woman in America, and like at the end of the day you're going to face like racial issues, and I don't think I would have experienced that if I didn't step outside of LA.
Yeah.
um so yeah, I saw it way too many times to count. I saw it coming back from Texas. I saw the little hat, and that was the last time. I haven't seen it since I've been back. So
Wow. Wow.
it's good to be home.
Yeah. Well, listen, Chelsea, it's good that you are home,
Mm-hmm.
and I certainly appreciate you coming on to the show to give a Generation Z standpoint of some of the today's climate on how you feel about certain things. And so at the beginning of the show, I said that I had a secret that I wanted to share with it, that I was going to share at the end of the show.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone, this is a very special interview for me.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the reasons why it's very special because this lovely lady right here, Chelsea Robinson, this is my niece. This
Mm-hmm.
is my this is my precious little niece who I love to death. I
Mm-hmm.
carried Chelsea's fifth grade fifth grade graduation picture in my wallet for years, for years, to the point of where the pictures start wearing out. She is very intelligent. All the flyers that you guys see from my podcast, this young lady right here is the one that does it all the time. For some of you guys that know me pretty well, this is Frida's daughter, y'all. This is Frida's daughter. So that little segment that you guys saw where she just stood her ground on I don't agree. That reason why I was laughing because I just kept saying, boy, if that ain't my sister all day long. But she has two terrific parents. My brother-in-law Mark, who I care about very deeply. I'm so happy that God, has given me the brother-in-law that he has to, to guide, my sister along the way with the two beautiful kids they had, Chasen and Chelsea, along with Chasen's little family and
Mm-hmm.
his kids. So, things are going very well. So Chelsea, what are some of your plans going forward?
Find a job. Yeah, that's really it. So if anyone's out there hiring, just
yeah, that's it. Put your plug in. If anybody's out there hiring right now, listen, you have someone that's super duper bright, and I put her skills up against anybody's skill set. She has a degree, and she has an open mind. And
mm-hmm.
lastly,
Mm-hmm.
anybody that's hiring out there, I need someone to hire her so she will have a job in Southern California. She can stay here because Chelsea, although this is her hometown, Chelsea has aspirations on moving, to a hot place. So that's
No,
a
it's
conversation for.
too expensive. It's not ideal to live in LA as a young adult.
Uh
You won't
huh.
be anywhere, and I'll be stuck at home with my parents, and that's not who I am. I
Right.
need independent, and you have to go to another state to achieve that.
Listen, you have your own mind, and hey, listen, I am certainly I support you with whatever your endeavors are. If you wanted to move to Alaska, hey, I support you with that. But whatever your endeavors are, hey, I'm all on board with that.
Mhm.
So listen, thank you for coming on to do the show. And
Thank you.
I'm quite sure that this will be talked about for a good little while, but you did very well, and so I appreciate that. So we'll get all your further information, and we'll do what we have to do. So hey, those that have been able to tune in to watch this show, I need you guys to do me a huge favor because you guys are missing the mark on this. When you guys watch this show on YouTube, I need you guys to hit the like and subscribe button. It's very simple. It takes less than 10 seconds to do that. You will be supporting this show when you do that. So I need you to hit that subscribe button as well as the like button. That is going to be right below of what you're watching. So please do that. Also, I have an interview that's coming up that's going to be very, very powerful a week from Monday after Labor Day with Skip Townsend. And that's all I'm going to say for right now, but extremely powerful coming up. We also have some topics that's going to be coming up about interracial marriage as well as sex trafficking. So, hey, I saw that, Chelsea. And so we'll be definitely looking forward to getting you guys' views on that and getting your input. So once again, Chelsea, thank you so very much for coming into the lab to do the show with us. And as I always end my show, everybody put God first place in your life. And please trust me when I tell you, he will take you places that you never dreamed of. Chelsea, thank you so very much for being on the show with your Uncle Jimmy. Have yourself a good day. And we'll talk on the other side. Take care.
Take care.
All right. Well, that was the conclusion to the show. Thank you for joining in. Always remember to hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Certainly appreciate you doing that for me. Take care. Until next time.